Thank you, Sean, and good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for being here. This is quite an historic day for us, and one that we've been looking forward to for a long time, and one we're very excited about. We have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to do something really big. President Trump has made tax reform a priority, and we have a Republican Congress that wants to get it done. And this is something that, quite honestly, I hope the Democrats would support too, because it's good for the American people. The president is going to seize this opportunity by leading the most significant tax reform legislation since 1986, and one of the biggest tax cuts in the American history. We've been working on this for a long time. We've had great meetings. We had a great meeting last night with the leadership of the House and the Senate. We've agreed on many of the important principles of tax reform. We look forward to working together with the House and the Senate very closely in the weeks ahead. The president has focused on three things since his campaign: job creation, economic growth, and helping the low and middle income families who have been left behind by this economy. He understands there are a lot of people in this country that feel like they work hard and they just cannot get ahead. They are sick of turning their paychecks over to Washington and having no idea of how those dollars are spent. They are frustrated by a tax code that is so complicated they can't even do their own taxes. That's why tax reform is such a big priority to this president. He cares about making the economy work better for all American people. Here's a little history. When President Kennedy cut taxes in the early 1960s, the top rate on personal income was over 90%, and there was rampant tax avoidance. First, here are a few statistics for you on the individual side. In 1935, we had a one-page tax form consisting of 34 lines with 2 pages of instructions. Today, the basic 1040 form has 79 lines and 211 pages of instructions. A 10% bracket, a 25% bracket, and a 35% bracket. We're going to double the standard deduction so that a married couple won't pay any taxes on the first $24,000 of income they earn. So in essence, we are creating a zero tax rate. Yes, a zero tax rate for the first $24,000 that a couple earns. The larger standard deduction also leads to simplification, because far fewer taxpayers will need to itemize, which means their tax form can go back, yes, to that one simple page that I talked about earlier. Families in this country will also benefit from tax relief to help them with child and dependent care expenses. We are going to repeal the alternative minimum tax. The AMT creates significant complications and burdens which require taxpayers to do their taxes twice to see which is higher. That makes no sense, and we should have one simple tax code. As we all know, job creation and economic growth is the top priority of the administration. Nothing drives economic growth like capital investment. Therefore, we are going to return the top capital gains tax rate and dividend rate to 20%, repealing the harmful 3.8% Obamacare tax on dividends and capital gains. That tax has been a direct hit on investment income and small business owners. We're going to repeal the death tax. The threat of being hit by the death tax leads small business owners and farmers in this country to waste countless hours and resources on complicated estate planning to make sure their children aren't hit with a huge tax when they die. No one wants to see their children have to sell the family business to pay an unfair tax. We're going to eliminate most of the tax breaks that are mainly benefits to high-income individuals. Home ownership, charitable giving, and retirement savings will be protected, but other tax benefits will be eliminated. This isn't going to be easy. Doing big things never is. We will be attacked from the left and we'll be attacked from the right, but one thing is certain. I would never, ever bet against this president. He will get this done for the American people. With that, I'm going to turn over to Secretary Mnuchin to go through the business tax plan, and then we will both come back and take questions.
It is perhaps the most complicated and uncompetitive business rate in the world. not a surprise that companies leave trillions of dollars offshore. Under the Trump plan, we will have a massive tax cut for businesses and massive tax reform and simplification. As the president said during the campaign, we will lower the business rate to 15%. We will make it a territorial system. We will have a one-time tax on overseas profits, which will bring back trillions of dollars that are offshore to be invested here in the United States to purchase capital and to create jobs. The president is determined to unleash economic growth for businesses. This is not just about large corporations. Small and medium-sized businesses will be eligible for the business rate as well. As Gary said, we have had very productive meetings with the House and Senate, working weekly to get this done. We will continue to do that. We are determined to move this as fast as we can and get this done this year. I would also just comment that we will hold listening sessions. One thing this president has done very well is listen. We've had hundreds of business leaders here from all different types of areas: manufacturers, retail, airlines, community banks, big banks. We are listening and we have been taking feedback. Finally, I would just add, the president's objective is creating economic growth. And as we've said before, we believe we can get back to 3% or higher GDP that is sustainable in this country. The overall economic plan consists of massive tax cuts and tax reform, regulatory relief, and renegotiating trade deals. And with that, we will unlock the economic growth that's been held.
Okay, so what we just heard was Gary Cohen and Secretary Mnuchin talking about these tax proposal plan that they're trying to get passed and the details of it. Now, this has been a big discussion in America lately, and we've been waiting for this report. We're going to do this report. It may go out into a little bit more longer. Right now, it's about 7.5 minutes, but just hang with me. We want to discuss this a little bit because it's very important, and it's kind of ironic that they would come out with this statement right after tax day, and everybody's still feeling the pain from paying their taxes. Now, you know that several of the Democrats are against this. In fact, almost every Democrat is against this because of the fear of the lowering of the revenue for the government. At first, they are considering that a destruction of our economy. However, they don't have the knowledge or foresight to see forward enough to know that it will spur growth, because they refuse to remember the Reagan era when we did these type of tax breaks. It spurred the economy, created huge amounts of wealth in the private citizens, and the corporations and small businesses grew and exploded. Also, their concern may be that it would create a bubble in the economy that would eventually burst. So what we're talking about here is a possible $2.5 trillion lowering of revenue for the federal government over a 10-year period. However, it will spur, or is projected to spur, the gross GDP to 4.5% to 5% over the first year. It's going to create huge tax breaks for the middle class. You know, there are millions and millions of Americans. One key thing that he said in there, there are millions of Americans who make $24,000 or less a year. Now think about that. That's a lot of people, man. They're basically going to pay a zero tax. So anything up to $24,000, you're not going to pay tax. So if they can get this passed, it's going to be a great thing for a lot of people, a lot of the poor people. And right now the liberals should be applauding that at the top of their lungs. But you know what? They're going to go against this because they're afraid that the federal government is not going to be bringing in the revenue so that they can just take more control of your life, keep you poor, keep you in debt, keep you subjected to them and in debt to them for the rest of your life, working your ass off, having nothing, living paycheck to paycheck, because that's what they do. That's what they created. That's the way they want you to live. They want you to be a slave to their economy. They forgot that the government works for us. We don't work for the government. We don't belong to the government. You know, there's a lot of things that a lot of people don't know about your social security number, and we may do a report on that in the coming days because it may be important to bring light on that subject and what your social security number is worth and why you have a number. So we may talk about that, but the thing about it is the Democrats are going to oppose this. They need 216 votes to get this thing passed. It's an important resolution that needs to pass to spur this economy. Now, I've been talking about we need to get this health care first, and then we need to go ahead and pass this tax reform. But you know, if they do it the other way around, it's not going to matter anyway, because what we need is job growth. Now, when I was listening close, what I heard was Secretary Mnuchin say they want to get this passed this year. So, all this hype over passing it in the next coming few days could just be hype. You know, they may still negotiate this thing and lose some of the aspects of it because of the Democrat or the globalist Republicans who will oppose it. We don't know what the final plan is going to be. However, I believe that this is something that needs to happen to spur the American economy, and it needs to happen fast. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this report. I hope you continue to tune into this channel. This is an important subject. Please share this report on your social media content. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up. And if you want to support this channel, there's a link in the bottom to my PayPal account. Go ahead and find that. Click on that link. Shoot some money over here. Become a regular supporter of Johnnyjetrod. You can subscribe to both of my channels, Johnnyjetrod the Patriot and All Americans First News, for great information, great content. So thank you, America. I'm your host, Johnnyjetrod.